This program brought to you by your local Mitsubishi dealers and Foster's Lager, proud sponsors of the Australian Olympic team.
Excellent guitar riff.
Sensational crowd in tonight, and well, may I say tonight, what a big week it has been in football. It's certainly been one of the biggest weeks in 100 years of football, in fact, as the Melbourne-Hawthorn merger deal was absolutely scuttled, and our special guests tonight, none other than the saviours of both teams, Joe Kutnick and Don Scott. Good to see them both in here tonight. And, of course, plenty of other big football news around today. Of course, Kevin Sheedy reappointed for the next 2 years with a third one as an option. And the other big news during the week, of course, was the invasion of Bali by the Fitzroy Football Club. We'll be talking about that a little bit later in the show. But let's get off to a big start straight away and welcome the man who tonight has been reappointed as a Geelong player, along with Paul Couch and Gary Ablett for the next season, even though he has to have his own personal fitness regime. Billy Brownless. Go on, Billy. The golden boy of football at the moment, and there is no bigger than this fella now. He's every mother's son that they'd love to have, every girl's favourite husband. He's everything at the minute. You are a sensation, James Hird. We're even thinking about signing up for the Shanghai Ballet when they come out. He's that dominant at the moment. No, not having to go at the ballet.
Sure you're not.
And, of course, the man who has suffered a fair bit in the last couple of weeks. Put your hands together. At least he's got a club to play for next year. And welcome, Jason Dunstall. Jason, we still get in here, mate, even though we've got the bad
Still
leg.
get the booze, don't I?
How was look, first of all, you haven't spoken much in the media at all, really, about your knee. Will you have another crack at playing footy?
Oh, I'd like to think so, unless things go drastically wrong under the knife, Ed. Fingers crossed that won't happen.
Yeah. And everything at the moment, you haven't obviously had the operation?
No, I haven't, but you guys have done your best to end my career, haven't you?
Don't blame us, mate. All right, well, it's good to see you in good spirits tonight anyway, Jason. All right, and of course, tonight, the selections for the second biggest round of football for the year, the preliminary final. 4 teams left, 2 to go through to the grand final next week. Will Plugger be right? Will Stewie Anderson be right? Will Michael Voss be right? We'll find out in the next 4 hours. It has become the footy show every Thursday night. But, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the spiritual leader of the Brisbane Bears, none other than Sam Dalai Lama Newman.
Peace, tranquility, serenity. Free Tibet. 7-4, Paul Kelly, the Brownlow.
Wrong Tibet.
Wrong Tibet, is it?
Sorry, yes.
Practicing out there. I can't do that laugh. I'll get that laugh. Now, where did I get to there? No, free Tibet. The one thing, the earth is round and the ox is patient, or words to that effect. I sincerely trust that the Brisbane Bears beat the crap out of North Melbourne. My child, I believe you have a damaged appendage. Would you like... No, not that one. Not that one. Would you like the Dalai Lama, your spiritual advisor, to put it up? Put it up. Put it up. Do you feel better now, child? Don't touch.
all right.
Don't touch the head.
I mean, it was a good one to start with, but it feels all right.
We have to get him working on the bad one.
Thank you very much.
Dello? We'll find out more of the spiritual learnings of the Dello Newman as the show progresses. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome over by the bar, Trevor Marmalade.
It's been quite an easy week for a comedian in football this week, with Fitzroy players turning Club Cooter into Club Vanderhaar. Now, let me get this straight, Ed. They killed a rooster.
Apparently so. Apparently so.
Right, well, at least the boys don't get drafted, go on tour with Alice Cooper, can't they? although Alice Cooper's always said he was hard done by there, he said he never actually did bite the head off a chicken.
No?
He said, no, it was just a cute little puppy dog.
Oh.
But I've got a spirit... Well, I saw something very spiritual on Monday night, the merger debate, amazing scenes. And it just goes to prove, it's an old saying, isn't it? There are two sides to every story. Or are there? Do you ever wonder about that?
Yeah.
Another philosophical one for you, Sam. Another philosophical one for the Dello here. If all the world is a stage, then where's the audience sitting?
Very profound.
On that note, let's introduce and welcome the gentlemen from the Superbox, some of the great Aboriginal players and umpires and real characters of 100 years of AFL football with us tonight. Let's hear it for the great Sid Jackson, Glenn James, Bill Egan, Robbie Mad Dog Muir and Shay Cockatoo Collins. And our special guest on the Footy Show tonight, none other than one of the great Aboriginal players and one of the great all-time players of the game in Barry Cable. But let's get on to the show straight away. There's been plenty of issues. First of all, Jason, tell us about the knee. What is the progression for you now up to the operation?
Well, it feels all right at the moment. All I've had is an arthroscopy, and they've had a look in and discovered what the damage was. But apparently before Rico's now, they like the bleeding and everything to settle down before they actually do it, so I've got to wait another couple of weeks before I have it done.
Well, you've got a big decision, whether to try and come back early, a la Schwartz and the likes, or go 12 months, as has been the convention before the people rushing back. There haven't been too many who've come back early who've survived. Which way do you think you'll end up going?
I think it's a little bit different. I didn't totally rupture the anterior cruciate. I think it's 2/3 torn, so it's perhaps not as bad as it could be. But obviously I'll be guided by the surgeons and the club doctors and physios and just take it as it comes. And
James, of course, the Bombers tonight, Kevin Sheedy pulled a trump card out and had Tommy Hafey address the players tonight.
Don't know how you knew that, Ed, but...
and the spies out there.
Yes, Tommy came and spoke to us and was inspirational in his own way. Tom, you know, you can see why Richmond won so many premierships and when they did, because he was really a great speaker. And it was
kicking and running and jumping and fasting and all that sort of stuff, was he?
No, there's a certain amount of kicking and jumping that goes along with football, Sam, so it's a good thing.
And Billy, congratulations, you've had the reprieve.
Yeah, no, well, I'm actually contracted for another year, Ed, so I was just fulfilling that next year.
You could have been cancelled, though, Bill.
Well,
I mean, they could have axed you.
But, no, it's
ditched them again, haven't you?
Bill, do you reckon that the fact that they've said you have to have your personal trainer for yourself and Gary Ablett and Paul Catch is a subtle way of saying you're fat?
Yeah, well, it could, but it's not a personal trainer. Like, we just go to training and someone's with you. But speaking of fat, how much do you weigh, Jason, at the minute? At the minute, how much do you weigh?
I'm around about 100 kilos.
How much do you reckon you'll weigh in 6 months' time?
Oh, probably about 100 kilos.
Really?
Yeah.
You'll be about 125, I reckon.
Mate, it's one thing that you lack, it's called discipline.
Trev, what do you think about Jason's weight?
Well, I was going to say, why would you ever bother to hire a personal trainer? Just stand next to someone that's got one.
Yeah, that works for me. Boys, Fitzroy, there have been various reports. Brad Boyd, we spoke to him in Toronto today. He was actually heading to Niagara Falls with Chris Johnson on his holiday. So we've invaded America now too. But he seemed to suggest that things might have been blown out of proportion a little bit, as did John Burt, the general manager today at Fitzroy, although there is no doubt that the Fitzroy boys did put on some sort of a rampage over there. You're going over to Bali soon, Joe, so the Hawthorn boys, are they?
I think they're heading to Phuket, Ed.
Oh,
but
right.
Obviously the Hawthorn boys will be very well behaved. There wouldn't be a problem there.
Well, Billy, we might as well ask you, because James doesn't do anything wrong when he goes away.
James, he's such a nice boy, isn't it, doesn't he? But, Yeah, we're going actually to Lara. We're looking forward to that event. No, we're going to Koh Samui, so that'll be good. But
you may as well spend 3 weeks getting pissed down there as anywhere else, Bill.
But it can get blown out of proportion. I know when we were in Canada and Gavin Exel and Andrew Buse got kicked out of the country because we had this huge party in their room. They weren't even there, but because it was a huge party and we drank their bar dry and did things in their room, they got kicked out of the country because it was in their room.
Fair enough.
Things can get blown out of proportion. I don't know. We weren't over there, but...
And one final one before we go to the teams and to the break. Plugger's groin. Should they play him?
Oh, definitely not, Ed. Shouldn't risk a high-quality player like Plugger, and it'd be good if Rodney had left him out.
Yeah, what do you reckon?
I think it's a simple case. I mean, a 60% fit Plugger is probably better than any other option they have, and I guess you can get away with it a little bit more because of the small ground. And even just for the fact that the guys will walk taller, having him around, you've got to play him.
Billy, what do you reckon?
I reckon there might be something going on up there, some mind games going on.
OK. All right. Well, Sam, of course, we had a result last night. You may as well take the cap off.
I can't concentrate. I bet you wish you could do that. Now, we had a huge night last night. Eddie, this is a legacy of it at the Australian Football Writers Media Awards.
Yes.
3AW. I know you work for Triple M. We won 3 awards there for radio excellence.
Yeah, we'll
Triple M will be a tremendous threat to us, I know, but 3AW and Triple M, now we've mentioned that 4 times. But the Footy show at the Australian Writers Football Awards, or whatever they call the Media Awards, won a best program here, and so we acknowledge that. That's Channel 9, but Channel Rex. Now, look, they've actually covered themselves in glory. They won an award for the best light entertainment, this is in football, for the best light entertainment, interest and information program. Now, we're just wondering when it's going to go to air. We've been waiting for it for 30-odd years, but it hasn't gone to air yet. But Timmy, on the news tonight, that very, very popular news show that Channel Rex have, Timmy mentioned that we can give credit where it's due. They won an award for overall excellence. Now, this is unedited. This went to air on Channel Rex tonight. This is overall excellence. Timmy on the...
And, David, that's our sport for tonight.
Thank you, Tim. Before you go, congratulations are in order for one of our team.
Yes, David. Mark Doran last night picked up the AFL's award for the best TV news reporter for his series of stories on the Fitzroy merger, from North's moves to the eventual signing with the Bears. That's congratulations to Mark. I think he's out there celebrating still somewhere. Neil Kearney's 100 years of football won Best Feature, and the 7 Network also won the award for overall excellence.
Terrific, Tim. Thank you. Haven't seen Mark at all today. Now, next, today's stormy weather. And the latest prospects for snow levels.
We're going to pack all these trophies up and send them down to Channel Rex. We just can't compete with excellence like that. That is excellence, the epitome of excellence. We just can't compete, so we'll give you the trophies and you can take them. Well done, boys.
By the way, this is the last game on the home ground because next week for the grand final edition we'll be live from Melbourne Park from 9 o'clock to 11, so a special footy show time next week of 9 o'clock. And, well, we sold out on the first morning that we put tickets on sale. About 8,500 to 10,000 tickets went on sale. All went out the door, but we have got some limited number of impeded viewing seats if you want to go along. It's your last chance.
Impeded viewing?
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you have to be half blind to go yourself or anything, Trev.
Just sit out in the car and listen to it.
Well,
Sorry,
if you can't actually make it on the night, maybe you can just put a pole in front of your TV set.
There's always that. But if you do want to come along, this is the deal. For $12.50, you can get the tickets. You can see about 1/3 of the stage, but you'll get to see all the other stuff happening around, get involved in the show. It'll be worth it for $12.50. I think the tickets were $22.50, so you got $10 off. But don't whinge if you can't see the entire stage because they are impeded viewing seats. Only a quarter of the stage area will be visible from these seats, but there will be giant screens.
Quarter now. Hang on, it was a third a second ago.
We'll make it $12. But there is screens everywhere, so you'll be able to see what's going on, except a quarter of the stages, all you'll be able to see, but everything will be happening around it. So there are some tickets going on sale tomorrow. You can go down to the Bass outlets or phone 11500 for $12.50 and join in all the fun of the footy show. Next week for our special grand final edition, about 10,000 people down at Melbourne Park. It is going to be an absolute belter. We'll take a break. and I'll just have a look ahead and just see what we're going to do. We're going to come back.
It's got to you, finally. Second last show.
I have no idea what you're doing. I'm auditioning for Channel Rex, actually, Sam.
Well, you're getting another award for excellence.
I was going to say, Sammy, if we ever get nominated for excellence, we're doing our job wrong.
When we come back, Joe Gutnick and Channel Rex's very own Don Scott. To the Footy Show, and available at the Royal Melbourne Show, you've got the Footy Show's very own show bag, and a lot of people would say that the Footy Show is like a show bag, it's full of rubbish, but here we are, we've got the Footy Show bag. Sam, what else have we got over there?
We've got a mug, now that'll look great on the all the best mantelpieces in the country, and a Footy Show hat, and that there, you put your head in that, that smells absolutely vile. I don't know where that's been made, it smells like a tar pit.
Anyway, if you want your very own tar pit, you can go to the Royal Melbourne Show. $10 for the Footy Show show bag, and the show runs through until Sunday, the 29th of September. Well, without doubt, one of the biggest stories of the century of football, certainly one of the biggest stories of the year, was the meetings on Monday night. First of all, at Dallas Brooks Hall for the Melbourne Football Club, at the Camberwell Civic Centre for the Hawthorn Football Club. Hawthorn voted no, thanks to the Operation Payback scheme put together by Don Scott and his helpers. Melbourne Football Club narrowly voted yes. Of course, no merger will happen now between the two sides, and in a matter of a couple of days later, Joe Gutnick has become the Melbourne Football Club president. Let's talk to the two men associated with the two teams, of course, Joe Gutnick himself and Don Scott. Welcome to the boys tonight. Joe, firstly, congratulations on, well, you didn't get the vote up, but you've been able to get through and become the president of the Melbourne Football Club. 3-4 weeks ago, would you have ever dreamt that you'd be Melbourne Football Club president?
Firstly, I contest the fact that we didn't get the vote up because there was all types of questions that we have about that vote, but we don't talk about the past. But I'm honoured and that I'm now the president, and I've got a very tough job ahead of me, and I hope I'll be able to do a good job for all the members.
I suppose there's a lot of firsts this week, but seeing Hassaman and Ian Ridley being booed there the other night, and then yourself in a Masonic temple getting a standing ovation must have been something that you'd never have dreamt of before, Joe.
Well, I would have preferred that everyone got the hoorays because everyone meant well, and as I said, we want to forget what happened on Monday night. I think everyone wants to forget about it, and we're looking to go forward.
And you're on a roll because the float was magnificent last week. Just you can't do no wrong at the moment, Joe.
Well, we'll see in the future.
Now, Donald, welcome.
Oh, Johnny.
How are you?
Good, Johnny.
Thanks for Channel Rex allowing you to come over. Did you ever have a great fear that you actually would win and have to put your money where your mouth is?
Can I think on that, Johnny, for a while?
Yeah. Well, I mean, now you've suddenly thrust in there from the little TAB down on the coast there to coming up here, taking over the great club that you helped immortalise, Donald. You must have faced this decision with a bit of trepidation.
Oh, no, Joe. You know, so halfway through, yeah, when we didn't have the big licks of money, it was a little worrying, but...
Have you got any idea what you're doing?
Come on, you idiot, get on with it.
Well,
this is like baiting time. I thought we'd got out of this. You're one-upmanship, that's all you want.
You're coming into a great club, and you're going to take over almost as one of its administrators and main men.
Not take over, John. We just rescued a club. All we've really done is defeated a motion before that the board put up. And we've defeated it, and we'll just see what happens from there.
Don, I suppose the big question is now that will the board stay or will they go? They were supposed to resign today. There hasn't been any news on that. And if they do resign, or would you like them to resign, and have you got an interim board ready to go and then a long-term board ready to step in?
We've got an interim board. That's in case if they do resign. Now, they've got a meeting next Wednesday. As to what they do, I really don't know, Ed.
Would you prefer to see a bit of a sweep out of the club now?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you know, we've got the money. It really was a perfect marriage. Everything that Melbourne are offering, we've got it. And so all we've got to put the cash in and away we go. And we've got the business plan and sponsors for next year as well as the existing sponsors.
Don, when do you think you'll be able to start announcing those sponsors? I mean, that was a big part of the operation.
Yeah, it was, and it'll be next week. Like, we got guys coming to us now still, and, you know, we're not in a position to give them an answer. I mean, you know, I had 2 meetings this morning today, and I said, well, we can't give it to you because, you know, we're not there. All we did was raise some money. You've got to deal with the board.
Do you think it was a blow for people who believe that football is a game of passion rather than a game of finances?
I think it really did heighten what is in Melbourne, and that is a football culture. I mean, it transcends all things. I mean, Joe on the weekend celebrated Jewish New Year. Now, we've got Jewish people helping us on Operation Payback, and I said, well, you better have the day off tomorrow. And the guy said, well, I'm contactable. I've got a mobile phone. I should be in the synagogue, but I'm contactable. So it transverses everything. I mean, it's just a terrific thing, football.
Now, Joseph, if Brian Dixon was your great running mate, he seems to have been swept out in the rush there. Where is he? What position is he holding, if any? And you seem to have actually deserted him, Joseph.
He's the hero because he was willing to sacrifice himself in order to preserve unity in the club. So he's the
sacrificial
he's
lamb.
the martyr.
Is he?
Yep.
Joe, you also...
Is he happy about that?
I don't think he's happy. No one's happy about it in the Melbourne Football Club.
Joseph, you were putting together a package worth about $3 million before the vote. I understand that that's become a little bit more tangible. How much are you actually going to kick in?
Well, I'm very happy I'm working together with Ian because he's going to really tighten the belt there, and it won't be spent so easily, and it'll be spent in the right direction. So,
question to both gentlemen here. The AFL have gone down a path of trying to get clubs to merge. They've pretty much helped Fitzroy out the door completely. Do you think now they have to have an absolute change of philosophy and try and maintain the clubs in Melbourne, whether that means selling off Waverley or getting a line of credit until they do so, or come up with another scheme? But do you think that they've been sent out a very clear message from the consumers, that is the supporters, that people want the game to survive the way it is at the moment in Melbourne?
with respect to Mr. Oakley, I don't think he understood the culture of football, and he got a good lesson on Monday night, and I think that the AFL should help the clubs that are struggling, Hawthorn, Melbourne, or whichever clubs need help, that they should understand to support...
Listen, you little bastard, you could help us, you know.
I want to say that I'm very grateful to you. This is the first time I really got a good honour for nothing.
Actually, Donald, I'm glad you said that, because you've lapsed back into your playing days of being snide and having a whack behind the plate.
Ah, hang on, John.
Just a minute. Just a minute.
That was your caper.
So if I call you a maggoty old sheep fondler, as long as I apologise the next day, all's fair in love and war. You gave Tiger Ridley a fearful spray for doing nothing more than trying to bunk up Melbourne's cause.
Yes, go.
Yeah, so as long as you apologise the next day, and you've had experience at doing that over the years, I've seen you on footy trips.
Yes, you're an idiot, Ben.
Don, how much did it take out of you, personally?
Personally?
Yeah, the last couple of weeks.
I'm still really trying to get back at, you know, I think it'll take another few days because the sleep pattern is not back. I'm sleeping now at 5 o'clock and the phone rings at 7, so I'm getting about 3 or 4 hours sleep now. And
we've asked you before to make an impassioned plea for the survival of the club. Is there anything you'd like to say to the people who got behind Operation Payback?
Actually, I was surprised because I thought that Hawthorn people were apathetic and I blasted them through the year, but boy, did we stir the soul. They really did come out, and the money that we've raised has just been terrific. And to you people, again, I've got to apologise because I didn't think you had it, but they certainly have got it, and we'll be coming back again too, so get ready. And obviously, Don, you need them to survive and come back and really throw their hat in the ring. Eddie, all we've done, and I'm only talking personally now, and I've said this, I don't mind whether the clubs merge, but I didn't like the way that they went about it. And now the people have really got the opportunity of Hawthorn to say, yes, we want our club to survive. All we've given them is a vehicle to say, yes, we want it to survive. All right, Don, thanks very much for coming in tonight. Yeah. Joseph, thank you very much. Well, we've got some... And congratulations there to both Joseph Kutnick and Don Scott and all their workers who worked so brilliantly over the last couple of weeks. And, well, Hawthorn and Melbourne will be around for a little while yet, no doubt about that.
Isn't he a bloody star, Don? He's a marvellous, marvellous man. Now, we've got, so you'll stick around on for this because we've got some mixed marriages and the first is, well, lookalikes there.
Yeah, no, well, mixed marriage first.
Mixed marriages, yeah, is Don and, of course, Joseph.
And before we go to the lookalikes, why don't we go to Sam's mailbag?
Thank you very much, Eddie. I'll just get the letter. No, we've got out of that. Don, you've thrown me. We've got completely out of order. Now, this appeared in the, well, it's got the Quokka advertising newspaper in Western Australia. This was sent in by Miss Markwell. Men's and boys West Coast Eagles jacket, size 105, $40. West Coast Eagles jumper, boys size 10 to 12, 25. Eagles scarf and beanie, 10. Or we'll swap for Fremantle Dockers gear. Now, obviously, they've taken the defeat very, very hard over here when they got flogged last week. And this was a gem. We like this. I'm writing to you this is from Chris Linden. I'm writing to you on behalf of the Marara Christian School in Darwin to see if you may be able to assist us in obtaining some tickets for the coming grand final. I wrote to the AFL a few weeks ago to see if they could help, but was only offered tickets to the preliminary final. I declined the offer. I reckon if anyone can help us, you would. There are 32 of us altogether. 32 of us. I can be contacted on mobile phone 04, or a message can be left for me on the phone. P.S. How about a big plug for the national I bet this bloke's not circumcised.
Oh, why's that?
There's no end to this prick. He's, Chris Linden wants 32 grand final tickets and a plug for the Super Rules Carnival over in Adelaide. So, Chris, I wouldn't quite get in the truck yet. This is from Kim Giddens. When Dougie finishes challenging you, she's from Tasmania. When Dougie finishes challenging you for street talk, I'll have a go as well. I have no experience in television, but it looks pretty easy. Go to a mall, locate the local Fossey's, Coles or Priceline store, interview the bogans milling around, throw in the occasional dumb blonde, and hey, presto, street talk. Spot on, baby. You haven't missed a beat. You wait till you see what's coming up. And this finally was sent in by Campbell Burns. Now, here's a photo of our esteemed... Now, look, this is a school photo, magnificent little photo.
What school is it, then?
It's the North... yes, I'll just find that there, Eddie.
Here you go, Sam.
That looks like Wattle Park Primary to me.
Wattle Park Primary. Yes, Wattle Park Primary School, grades 4 and 5, 1971.
Where did you read that, as a matter of interest?
The little
on the plaque in front of the photo. There you are.
Yeah.
Yep, the middle Wattle Park Primary School. See if you can pick our esteemed colleague Trev out there. How would you pick him out? He's the only one.
He's looking good.
He's the only one that hasn't got the school uniform on.
Well,
got the North Melbourne jumper on.
It was actually a sad tale, Sammy, because that was 1971. If you remember, Brian Dixon was coaching us, and we only won one game for the entire year. It was round 17, and, of course, on Monday morning, what do you do at school when your team wins? You wear your footy jumper. So I've been waiting all year to wear my footy jumper, and I turned up there and went, school photos today, suck. I buried myself once again.
Looked like it was a bit of a hard year there, Trev. Looked like they grabbed you a bit around the collar.
No, I'm sorry, Eddie. I said mixed marriages before, but we've done those. Now we're getting on to lookalikes.
Lookalikes now.
Yes, now these are the lookalikes. Now, Don, you've got another run here. This is Don Scott and the Dalai Lama. Not bad, that, actually.
He's had a good run tonight.
Here's our very, very great friend Jay over here, Jason Dunstall and Glenn Campbell. And now I think, actually, you have to do this one because we've got Matthew Richardson.
Matthew Richardson.
And I've got Katie Lang here, but it's not
Alanis
Katie Lang. It's who is it, Trev?
Alanis Morissette, well, is it?
Yeah, Alanis Morissette.
Yeah.
Which is Alanis Morissette?
Alanis.
So they're the mixed marriage. Have I got anything else to do?
No, I think that's about it. But just before we go to the break, James, you've got a question, haven't you?
I just want to ask Joe a quick question. Just aside from the money that you're putting into the club, as president, what do you foresee that you will do to change Melbourne and get them back on track?
Well, we're looking that the board should be accessible to the popular members out there. I think it was revealed on Monday night that there's a lot of new faces in the Melbourne Football Club that everyone didn't know about, and I hope that as president I'll make sure that the members are accessible to the board.
Good on you, Joseph. Good on you, Don. Thanks for coming in tonight. When we come back, before we do, Trev, we're finally trying to get this break finished.
No, I was going to say, James, coming out of contract soon. Want to get your hands on some of that 70 million, did you, mate?
You got a tip for us?
Oh, yeah, well, Joseph and Don, the tips for this?
No, I want a share market tip.
Oh, share market tip.
He's went from 20 cents to $4.60 during the week.
Yeah.
Michael Mansfield told me that. Works at the share market. Is that right, Joe?
No comment.
Just another bit of news you might be interested in. John Elliott has just announced that the name of the new soccer club to be playing out of Carlton is called Pigs Arsenal.
On that note, we'll go to the break. When we come back, Essendon versus Sydney. Will Plugger be there? We'll find out after this. to the Footy Show, and every week on the Footy Show I come out and say what a big week it's been in football. Well, what a big year it's been in football, and to have a look at football from a different slant, please welcome for their very own review of the 1996 centenary season, Percy and Dickie.
Went to the footy, it was pissing down. Took 3 hours to get into the ground. Lost me car after the game. Got that drunk, forgot I came by train. The price of beer, you need an overdraft. Me missus queued up for the dunny and she missed the second half. Oh, remember Kappa? Oh, what a whacker. He used to wear his shorts up his clacker. That's football. That's what pisses us off. Jason Dunstall, his knee looks doubtful. And who cut his hair? The bloody local council? 100 years and footy's still the same. Collingwood supporters all sharing one brain. The Melbourne debt, is it as bad as it looks? Well, that's what bloody happens when Harry Beitzel does the books. Bring back the Swanettes and their busty shows. I reckon Wayne Carey'd like to get his hands on those. That's football. That's what pisses us off. James Hird, all the girls are obsessed. I've seen his bedroom, it's got an interchange bench. Kernahan and his voice from the deep sounds like a record that's on the wrong speed. At Waverley Park we saw the lights all blow. Not like Dougie Hawkins, lights are on but no one's home. Sammy Newman, oh, he's wild and he's wacky. I think he smoked some stuff that he got from Ron Barassi. That's what Sammy boy likes. Let's finish it up, Diggy. Steve Silvani, he flies like a Zaley. Good in any position, just ask Joe Bailey. That's football. Well, that's what we really like, and I'd like to see that.
Percy and Dickie, fantastic fellas with their review of the 1996 centenary season. Percy and Dickie, a great performance there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, a couple of weeks ago on Almost Footy Legends, we had some magnificent vision of one B. Brownless kicking the dew off the ground at Punt Road in the reserves game. Billy, I think we should have a look at it again. Just take us through what happened here.
Have a look at the mark. Oh.
Beautiful mark.
Yeah.
Now, just for the people who might not know, at this stage, scores dead level.
Yes.
A couple of minutes to go in the game. You're lining up. What happened?
Well, I've kicked the ground, Ed. And, yeah, I nearly got it again and kicked the goal there. They missed that.
Now, explain what happened in the lead-up, because you took the mark, you were pretty happy, and, in fact, the folks had come down from Jerilderie in the bus, nice and early, hadn't had a touch.
Yeah, it was a 9 o'clock start or a 10 o'clock start, so the folks and about 10 friends have come down from Jerilderie. They left at about 4:30, and I was very happy to see the game, and I hadn't done much all day. Finally took that splendid mark, and went back, and there's this little Richmond turd standing right there. He was, and he's saying, I've seen Stephen Kernahan miss from this. I've seen Stephen Kernahan miss like this. And I've gone, yeah? Well, you watch this, mate. And I've gone bang, straight into the man on the mark.
And I've never seen you move so quickly to recover the ball.
Oh, you just feel like an idiot. But I'm sure we've all done it. You've done that, James?
No, I haven't.
Lots of time. Chase,
I've done that, mate. Yeah. I know the Golden Boy hasn't, but we've done it, Billy.
But it's just another chapter to the book, Ed.
Fair enough too, Billy. All right, well, another chapter to the finals book will be played out on Saturday night at the SCG, and it's, of course, the second ever final up there. That is the Footy Record with Paul Kelly on the front. Tribute to Paul. And Greg Hobbs of the Footy Record says Swans to win. So there you go. James, something to aim for there. The 1996 preliminary final, that is the Footy Record. And let's go to the teams now and see whether or not the great man is playing Tony Lockett. Let's have a look. He is back in the side, big Tony. So to Chapman. Out of of the side, Arnott and Crawford, both omitted from the team that got up by 6 points against Hawthorn. They've had the week's rest, of course. Last time they met in a final lesson and beat South Melbourne by 28 points in the 1942 preliminary final. And, of course, Essendon then went on to win the flag against Richmond on that occasion. This is the lineup for the Swans. McPherson, Dunkley, Seymour, Huskus, Roos, Grant, Luff, Lewis, Maxfield, O'Loughlin, Mooney and Dyson. The forwards, O'Brien, Big Plugger at full forward, and Kickett. The rucks, Stafford, Kelly and Creswell. The interchange, Bays, Chapman and Garlick. O'Brien kicked 5 last time and Mooney 3. And don't forget that without Tony Lockett in the side, that's been 3 occasions this year. 2 wins of the Sydney Swans by 35 points against the West Coast Eagles in round 22 and, of course, by 6 in the qualifying final against Hawthorn. 1 loss in round 17 against Fremantle by 26 points. But at the minute, he is their Big Tony. Let's have a look at the Essendon side and Chris Danaher. Back after a couple of months out with a broken jaw and Blumfield come into the side. Barnard, with that ankle injury, couldn't come up. And Kelthorpe, David Kelthorpe, who didn't get much of a run last week, has been omitted from the side. From the back line, Wanganeen, who was great last week, kicking a few goals as well. Wallace, Wellman, Hardwick, Harvey and Young. And good luck to Mark Harvey in his 200th game. He's played in 3-day flags, 3 night flags, the 92 best and fairest, and All-Australian in 85 and 93. It's been a fantastic career there for Mark Harvey. The centres of Doolan, O'Donnell and Blumfield. Mercury has been picked, even though he looked a bit dodgy at training tonight with that back and hip injury. James, you can tell us a bit more about that in a minute. Fletcher at centre-half forward, Hurd on the half-forward flank. The forwards of Lloyd, Alessio, who was magnificent last week with his 5 goals, particularly in the second half, and Cockatoo Collins, who joins us on the interchange bench tonight. Somerville, Denham and Buick, and the interchange of Danaher, Ola Renshaw and Masiti. And the Bombers were great. They have played a couple of times, obviously, this year. Essendon getting up by 18 points at the MCG in round 21. And in round 6 at the SCG, it was a draw. And, James, you kicked the point to make it a draw on that occasion. How are you looking forward to going up to Sydney this week?
It should be fantastic. I suppose Mark Harvey's 200th game is probably a great reason that we want to win. Not only just a final, Mark's been such a great player for the whole side and a great person around the club that really try and win these milestone games. But there's a lot of pressure on at the moment. Preliminary final, and we go straight out if we lose. So we're all hoping that Tony Lockett doesn't play and we get up and win. And
Barry Young in his 100th and Damien Hardwick in his 50th. Now, Steve Alessio, an obvious key for the Bombers.
Yeah, he was great in the second half last week, kicking 5 goals and really taking the game by the scruff of the neck, which he hasn't done really all year. I think that game was really the turning point of his year, hopefully, and it's turned around for this week anyway, and he'll be a great player for us on the weekend.
Now, Jim, what about Mark Mercury? Had a bit of a hip, didn't he?
He did, yes, sir.
So he's been in the decompression...
Well,
high valve compressor hyperbaric chamber.
That's right, and it's obviously worked wonders. For all I know, he could be coaching and Sheeds could be on the field the way Sheeds moves his team around, so I don't exactly know what's going on.
Now, Jim, I'm interested to hear you say that you hope Tony Lockett's not playing. Does this mean we're very fearful of... I mean, if he hasn't got any bubbles, tears, spots, lumps in his veins in his groin, I mean, he might be able to perform wonders there. You're a bit worried about it, are you?
Oh, he's probably the most dominant player in the AFL, I think. He and Wayne Carey can turn a game, probably more than any other player, except for Jason Dunstall.
Don't put yourself down. You're no slouch,
either, Jim. Sorry, Billy.
And Billy. And
Ed, you're not bad either.
No, now, what about... I gave you a bit of advice last week. Got into you about your set shot kicking.
That's right.
And you've taken the old Warwick Kappa advice to go and have a kick in the park.
Yeah, well, I just woke up Friday morning and thought I might stroll down to the MCG, a bit of a park, and take Warwick's advice. And, Jason, that advice worked for you very well, didn't it?
Did it work for you?
It did, actually.
Well, so you got another lazy 3 votes.
That's right.
Well, Billy, you might be able to get down with a personal trainer. What about the Sydney Swans? Are they a chance at all?
Oh, of course they are. They're a very good side. You just keep thinking they're going to get knocked over, but they keep on winning, and especially up there, they're going to be very hard to beat. Hurdy. But Dean Wallace has been good, hasn't he?
He's been great, yeah. Dean will have the job on Plugger, and it's a big job in football, and he should do that very well.
I think Essendon.
And Sam, can I ask you about Peter Somerville's performance last week?
Yes,
there have been people who criticise him for maybe his second efforts at the centre bounces, but last week his palming was just magnificent. The
majestic, I think is the word, Eddie. Majestic. He was a very, very shining, very big shining light for Essendon there. Fed all the smaller players. Denham was prolific out of the centre due to Peter's magnificent play. I just wanted to... I would think that the Swans might be confident enough, Jim, to beat you without Lockett, and they'll save him for the grand final.
Well,
pardon, Jason?
You're kidding.
Hey?
You are kidding.
Well, they beat you without him.
They did, but that is the most outrageous statement I've ever heard, to save a bloke from a preliminary final for a grand final.
Well, would you rather them play on their home ground up there without him, with a better chance of winning, than come down here without him for the grand final and get flogged?
Well, no point coming down there if you're not in the grand final, is there?
But but I'm just saying, I think they'd be confident enough to beat Essendon
They
up there.
can't beat Essendon without Tony Lockett. And I think even because he's injured, I think Essendon will win either way.
All right, Billy, who do you think will win?
I think Essendon.
And James, why do you think you'll win?
I just think, well...
James is playing.
Oh, thanks.
James.
Golden boy.
Golden boy.
Ballet boy.
All right, so Billy, you reckon the Bombers, James the Bombers, and Jason the Bombers, and Sam, you're going for the Swans.
Even the sandy-haired, twinkle-toed snowflake, I don't think...
Can we cut to an ad, Eddie? Is that all right?
I think the Swans will actually beat Essendon convincingly.
All right, well, there you go. Sam Newman likes that. I think the Bombers will take a break, and when we come back, Almost Footy Legends.
Okay, starting off with a couple of big hangers just for you, Jace. Check this one out. Oh, very nice indeed. Stephen Niarati from the twos there. Think he might get a go in the ones after that. Here's not a bad one, a bit of hang time here. Well, use his teammate to step right there. I think that was Mick Fogarty. Okay, a bit of a shirt front here. Check this one out. In the under-19s grand final. Nice one by the 16-year-old Brendan Johnson on that occasion. Good fair bump. Okay, now here's a good one in the grand final. Check out this for form. Now, can anyone tell me what happened there? I think he's had the fresh air shot that's just sort of rolled through.
It's not a goal.
Very good effort for a point in the grand final. And here we go, a young 19-year-old Jason Dunstall. Here he is. That's him, folks. Helping Cooper into the 84 flag.
Look at him.
There we go, Jace, looking good.
Look at the hair.
And legs. And our winners for this week, John Vanderpoel, Michelle Fogarty, Brian Johnson, Greg Rossiter and Phil Horn Ed.
Yes, indeed. And, geez, you look beautiful there, Jason.
Oh, I'm just wrapped. They sent in one where I got a kick and I didn't fall over or do something stupid.
And one where you had some hair.
And I was so thin, Sam, wasn't I?
Hey? Yeah, still thin.
Looking beautiful.
Thin up top.
And, of course, the last of our weekly winners for this week received the Footy Show gift pack and all our great gear, which is available at Myer. And next week, they'll all find out who, in fact, has won our magnificent Ford cars. And have a look at these magnificent prizes, as well as a Ford Longreach Ute. There is the 4x4 diesel crew cab. This vehicle has the most powerful non-turbo diesel engine in its class. It's built Ford tough. The new fuel injection pump also means increased power, Sam, and less noise, by the way. For work or recreation, Courier 4x4 is the way to go.
And you wouldn't believe it, we had 850 letters after saying that anyone could do a one-armed, one-legged push-up a la Sue Stanley last week. We had 850 people claiming Ford Couriers this week.
Imagine how many people last week were doing one-handed, one-legged push-ups in that ad break.
Exactly, yep.
But how many were doing proper ones, eh?
Exactly.
There would have been some funny stuff.
Oh, it would have been people falling all over the lounge room. Oh. All right, well, let's get into a person who had all the skill in the world. People will remember him for his 225 games with the Perth Football Club, 64 games with the East Perth Football Club, but more importantly, his 116 magnificent games with the North Melbourne Football Club. He came over in 1970, then went back to the West, and then played between 74 and 77. He also coached North Melbourne. Put your hands together for one of the most skilled players ever to pull on a boot, Mr. Barry Cable.
Take it easy. Just before we kick off, Eddie, I think we should just warn our Star Trekkers. I think we're 38 minutes behind at this stage. Perhaps just tune your VCRs in, because I don't think you're going to see Star Trek before 1 tonight, so just give you that tip now.
Well, speaking of stars, Barry, North Melbourne in a nice position. You went to training tonight. How did you see your old club?
Well, they look pretty good, Ed. I just hope that they can get through the Brisbane Bears on the weekend now. They've been playing well enough. They've probably been a little bit up and down like most of the sides. But they've got the big opportunity now, and not getting through in the last 2 years should give them enough incentive, I think, to go on with it.
What was it like in 1970? You came across one of the best and fairest, went back to Perth, and then came back in 74 for the glory run there, winning in 75 and 77, North's only premierships.
Yeah, well, that was great because when I came across in 1970, we'd only won 3 games. One of those was against Richmond, the team that had won the premiership the year before, so I guess that was the greatest highlight for North. In fact, only winning the 3 games for the year, it was like a premiership when we beat them at the MCG, and I think we never got over that for about 4 weeks. But then to come back in 74 and with Brassey and Aylett and quite a few other players, one of Sam's mates, Doug Wade from Geelong, and Rantel and Davis, we made up, and of course we didn't get a bad sort of a player from South Australia at the time, Malcolm Blight, and so they put together a pretty good side. Now, Barry, you were meticulous in your preparation to the game, but why were you wearing number 44 in the 75 grand final? What happened there? Oh, I was just trying to put them off for the day. Yeah. What happened was in those days, unlike Jason and the boys these days where they get everything looked after for them, we looked after our own jumpers. And, of course, I was pretty excited on that particular day. Thought I'd packed my bag, which I'd normally did every Saturday. Forgot my jumper.
Now, Barry, we want to concentrate on North because they're the flavour of the month, but I just wanted to quickly ask you, you're a resident of Western Australia. What did you think of the West Coast Eagles, the pessimism of coming over to play here where they've already won 2 flags in the first place? What did you think of that?
Well, I think that Mick had a point in the fact
what was that point?
Well, the point that they'd won the game, and so therefore he was looking at it from the point of view that, you know, if you win, you're supposed to...
Yeah, but despite all that, the game wasn't being played over there, so they dwelt on the negatives a lot, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't think they had to do that. I think they just get on with the game. And basically, I think that's pretty much what most people thought was just get on with it. And they did that. I mean, they tried to do their best. They just didn't play a good game.
Barry, what was it like roving to 2 of the most unlikely-looking footballers, in Barry Goodingham, who was a tall, lean bloke, of course, and then, of course, Mick Nolan, who probably might have at times wanted to maybe eat you at quarter time, Mick Nolan.
Yeah, well, they were certainly different. There was no doubt about that. But then an old wise man told me years ago when I first started playing footy that don't get too involved with ruckmen because, you know, they're a bit slow. And the fact is that's mentally as well. And so don't get too involved because they are inclined to sort of go here, go there. We'll sort of knock it to 3, we'll knock it to 4. And, you know, they can get lost. So the important thing is with ruckman, when I was playing, was the most important thing, Jason, I wanted to know, and this is good for you and Sam, is that all I wanted to know was that they knew which direction they were going in. That was the most important
they're not always sure about that, though, are they?
Well, you roved to the great Sam Newman.
Yeah, I was just going to say, of course, in state games you had it by the throat, luxury personified, because people like myself were playing in those games, Barry.
You would have just roved the opposition ruckman then, Barry, wouldn't you?
Well, I was hoping for that, actually. I roved to Sam and Graham Moss at the time, and they were both very good ruckmen. But no, Ed, I just stuck to the old cliche. What my mate told me years ago was, look, as long as you know which way they're going in, and I said to Sam, you know which way we're going? He said, yeah. I said, well, good, well, just knock it in that direction and leave the rest to me.
Barry, of course, we know you had a tragic accident a few years back where you lost a fair bit of your leg in a tractor accident and then cycled across the Nullarbor. How hard a period was that for you to come back from?
Well, it wasn't... Well, it was hard, obviously, but it happened when I was 36, so it was at the end of my footy career, if you like, so it wasn't so much a tragedy to me personally in that sense. So I handled it fairly well mentally, and I think it was one of the things that I was able to get over it a lot easier. Had it have been, like, you know, a younger person, I think it would have been more of a worry to me. For people who don't remember, of course, Barry, you fell underneath the tractor and the tractor stayed on top of you and pretty much carved your thigh out, which sounds gruesome, and it would have been a lot gruesome actually being there, of course. Do you think that your mental toughness as a footballer helped you get through that period? Oh, there's no doubt about that. Yeah, no question.
Now, how did you make the transgression from being a great player to a coach? You coached the Kangaroos?
Transition, that might be.
What did I say?
Transgression. He didn't never transgressed at all, the great man. Sorry,
I think Doug will be watching?
Doug will be wrapped now.
All right. Yeah. How did you find the difficult task of coming from being a player to coaching the side, Barry?
I didn't think it was too bad. I just wanted to coach the guys. I felt that I had the experience, and it was just something that I wanted to do. So that when I'm finished my career, like you, Sam, and I'm sitting up here and talking, I was thinking, well, you know, I'd like to have that experience to know that at least I've coached the guys.
Were you frustrated that you couldn't get them to do? You knew what you wanted them to do, but you couldn't get them to do it, or just weren't they good enough?
Oh, I think a lot of people would get frustrated about that at different stages.
And Barry, just finally, who do you think will win? All up.
North Melbourne.
You think so?
Yes.
No, but don't be biased. Who do you think will win? Do it with the head, not the
Do it
heart.
with the head instead of the heart.
Yeah.
It still comes back to North Melbourne.
Yeah.
Barry, thanks very much for coming in tonight. Always great to talk to a champion, and there's been no bigger ones than yourself. Barry, for coming in tonight. Barry Cable. And just before we go to the break, a reminder again that tickets tomorrow from Bass, they are impaired viewing seats. They are available. There's only a couple of thousand left. 9 o'clock tomorrow, Bass. Get on the phone or get down there. And I think, what did I say? They were $12.50. $12.50 for them. Half price almost. Get down there. You'll get to see everything on the big screen. It'll be magnificent. So, Trev?
If they're impaired viewing, Ed, is there room for your Labrador as well?
There was a line there, but I'll let it go. Anyway, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have a look at and see just how that North Melbourne team lines up. Footy Show. Just some of the images at the Aboriginal Art and Photo Exhibition at the Royal Melbourne Show on display at the moment. And joining us in the lounge tonight, some of the great Aboriginal players who have graced the grounds of VFL and AFL football. And first of all, one of the biggest names ever from Carlton, the famous number 5, Sid Jackson. G'day, Sid.
Sid, is there a vast untapped reservoir of black players in Australia still to find their mark in the game, or in your travels have we just about exhausted what's going on?
No, it's not exhausted at all, Sam. There's a lot of talent still out there, and you'll see a lot more in the next few years coming through, I believe.
And I know we often joke about the instinct and the sixth sense, but what is it that makes that cuts people like you apart from the norm?
Oh, I think it's just the determination that I had, and I wanted to, use that as a stepping stone for, getting a job and getting on with life as well.
The general Aboriginal players, the black players, what is it that makes them so special and so gifted, do you think?
I don't know. I think the guys that are playing now are very determined. They love their football. I think that a lot of our people have come from communities where they, played community sport with very little equipment, and you all had to get in there and have a go and try and win it. I think basically they're building up their skills without even knowing it, and once they get down here and get the proper added training to that, in specialised training into football, it's a double bonus.
Yes, a two-time premiership player there, Sid Jackson, sitting alongside a man who umpired in 2 grand finals, one of the real characters of football too, Glenn James. G'day, Glenn. And Glenn, it must have been hard enough out there anyway, umpiring, because the umpires cop plenty, but any cheeky players in particular that you remember?
Before I go, Ed, that's the biggest clap I've ever had, I can tell you that.
What about some of the cheeky players who had a go?
Yeah, there were quite a few, actually. I mean, I had a fantastic time umpiring because the blokes that I umpired, we had the opportunity after the game to have a drink, unlike today where the players, the umpires have to go and review the game as part of the video business so that it can be all sorted out straight away. But Crackers Cooter was an unbelievable guy. I remember in 1981 there was a game at the MCG. South Melbourne played Melbourne. In those days the umpires used to have to do everything but umpire the game. You have to chase the water boy off, the runner, the trainers, all those guys. At half-time Melbourne came out first and the runner came out about 20 yards behind them. And it was my turn to go and tick the trainer off, so I ran over and said to the trainer, it was a miserable day. This particular day we had David Rees-Jones playing on Brent Croswell, Rod Carter playing on Mark Jackson, and Crackers Keenan playing on Graham Teasdale. So I ran over and I said, listen, mate, I said to the runner, I said, listen, pal, I said, this game's hard enough without you chasing him out there. I said, you just had a 20-minute break to tell him something. He said, yeah, but he would have forgotten by now.
And Glenn, I understand that Ray Huppatz and yourself had a bit of a go one day out at Arden Street.
Yeah, Ray Huppatz out at Arden Street, and this is the beauty about it. You can have a joke with the players on the ground. It was in the last quarter of a game between North Melbourne and Carlton, he came up and he picked a chicken bone up off the ground, and he said to me, PR, he said, "You're going like a bloody dog." He said, "You might as well have this." And he ran off, and I said, "Ray, come back here." And he walked back like a little schoolboy, his hands behind his back. I said, "Listen, mate," I said, "you're just giving this to the wrong bloke," because he thought I was going to report him. I said, "If you don't piss off out of here," I said, I'll point the bloody thing at you.
Well, it's a great Tiger. We've got a magnificent book here, The Tigers of Old, which has been released by the Richmond Football Club, written by Paul Hogan, who's obviously struggling after almost an angel and lightning jack. He's writing books on the Richmond Footy Club. There it is now, and that is available from the club. It's a great book, and one of the men who is involved in the magnificent book here is Phil Egan, who played 125 games with Richmond and one with Melbourne. And Phil, I'm just wondering what the medal is around your neck there.
We had a big day last Saturday, Ed.
And a win. Tell us about it.
We helped an old mate of mine, Trevor Larkin. Some of you might know him. We took on the mighty Imperials of the Sunraysia League and beat them by 2 points in the last minute of the day.
Yeah, fair enough. And still enjoying your footy?
Oh, yes, very much so. Very much.
And sitting along next door there to Phil Egan, well, what can you say about Robbie Muir? Robbie Muir, everybody.
Robert, before we get started, I'm not allowed to send any Cheerios, but the family's very important. I want to say Cheerio to Tamika, Matthew, Jamie, Dion, my daughter and brother-in-law, Jane in Sale, and Tara.
Now, Robbie, normally we'd tell you to wind up, but you can go as long as you like.
Robbie, all from footy trips too,
Robert,
I won't say much.
One of the hallmarks of your great career was that you took no prisoners, mate. Were you always that angry as a child?
Well, it's not really. Everyone doesn't know this lovely man here, Glenn James, is my third cousin. And being an umpire, I thought I'd get away with a few things. And you probably remember a time when the spectator was going to hit Kevin Smith. I saved him. I told another umpire how lovely his wife was. And I kissed an umpire, and the funny part about that, he started the bar up and they still pick on me.
Trevor, just before we go to Billy Brownless.
Yeah, I remember being at Arden Street one day in the early 70s, Robbie, and Keith Green headbutted your foot. That must have been a very ordinary experience.
I remember that day. He had a runny nose, I think, and I tried to wipe his nose.
With the Adidas, Billy Brownless.
I saw you in Geelong walking down the street there the other day, mate. You living down there?
That's one thing I've got to pick on Sammy. He done a street talk about the morons at Corio.
Yeah.
When he done that interview, I'd already just moved in a week before that. So, Sammy, you are an idiot.
Now, I've always seen on those highlights when they flash back to the sensational 70s and that Dennis Collins, when you've turned around and just gone whack, did you ever hit him or...?
No, well, I've only been about 178 games. I've played 68. No, Dennis Collins, I never hit him. He took a dive and cost me 4 games. The wind blew him over, and I was speaking to... talking to Barry Cable. He's over there running... well, I called him a girl, and you wouldn't believe it. He's over there selling ladies' lingerie and selling flowers, so...
And, Robbie, you used to have a pretty checkered career with the St Kilda Cars occasionally, to raise a bit of extra cash there. Do you tell us about that?
Well, you get all these so-called stars from interstate. They get a house supplied for them and cars and jobs. I come down from Ballarat, and I said, well, I want a HQ. Well, I was a bit old, so I'm trying to be a flash man. I've bought a newer car. They said to me, where's that car we give you? Just, why? I trade in for a new one. I said, you can't. We're still paying it out of your payments.
Robbie, one of the great characters of footy, Robbie Muir there. And maintaining a great tradition, a sensational play for the Aboriginal community, playing out at Essendon. Shay Cockatoo Collins. Go, Shay.
Now, Shay, I want you and Barry, I'm going to ask this question again because Sid, you mightn't have understood what I was getting at, but I want to know why black sports people in Australia have a unique ability to be as good as they are. We often ponder this amongst whites, but asking the blacks themselves, why is it that you are so good at what you do?
Shay first.
Well, I mean, myself, I always wanted to play footy, but there's a lot of Aboriginal people out there that probably have no skill whatsoever. So it's, you know, it's just like the Anglo-Saxon race. There's some that can and there's some that can't.
But there's an overwhelming majority of black people that can do it more than the whites.
Yes, I think what Shay said's correct as well, but also there is a definite difference between the two races, and I think that the Aboriginal people definitely have an enormous advantage in the actual reflex and skill, and there's no question that it's in the genes.
Barry,
I don't think there's any doubt about that.
A lot of the Aboriginal players, particularly in the 60s and 70s, copped a lot of abuse. A lot of people didn't even realise you were an Aboriginal player.
No, well, I think that's with a lot of people that are around. I mean, because in those days, and particularly when you go back to the 40s, the 50s, and even the early 60s, there was a lot of things that were done by government that made it very difficult for a lot of people. And it's the reason why a lot of people are still very angry about all of that. But I think the most important thing is that we just all get on, because at the end of the day, we're all people, and we're all living on the one earth, and we just have to make it work. And I'm sure that we can all do that so long as we make, you know, the object of it is living together and doing it peacefully.
Fair enough, too. Derek Gable. And our guest today in the lounge. Now, boys, it is getting up to Brownlow time, and of course, National Sportsbook have kicked in again with a couple of $100 for us all to have a bit of a go on the Brownlow, with the proceeds going to the Variety Club of our win. Now, Billy, who do you think is going to win the Brownlow? I'll give you the odds on your favourite player. Who do you like?
Well, actually, I got a leak from the Fitzroy boys in Bali, this one, but no, this is true. A leak, Paul Salmon. Now, what's Paul?
Paul Salmon started off 100 to 1 and is now 16 to 1. So
Paul well. 200 on him, thanks.
All right, 200 on Paul Salmon. James, you want to back yourself because you're the 5 to 2 favourite at the minute?
No, that'd be a bit silly, wouldn't it? I think I'll go for Michael Voss. I think he's...
Michael Voss is 3 to 1 after starting at 15
and
to 1.
another leak, Bill, that I've heard was Michael Voss. There's leaks all over the place.
Where'd you get that leak from?
You told me, actually. No, I think Michael Voss will win.
Brad Boyd.
What about you, Jason?
5 to 2. Never look a gift horse in the mouth. He is the goodest of good things. Gold. And the more you put on, the more you get back, Ed. Very simple.
All right, Barry,
Can't get beat.
Well, I'd obviously like to see a North Melbourne man go well. I think Corey McKernan will do extremely well. But he can't because of the restrictions there. I might take a few on James, I think.
On James at 5 to 2. What about you, Sam?
I'm putting 20,000 on Jim to win it for 2 reasons. One, because he's a star, and when he wins it, I want to see Channel Rex come and ask Channel 9 permission for you to be interviewed. Oh, you will knock him back, won't you, when you get up there? Will you put a footy show hat on or something when you get up there and to get the medal? Just something of the footy show, because we've made you what you are, Jim. You know that, don't you?
I thank you solely for everything you've done for me.
Good, no worries about that, James. What about you, Trev?
Well, I think if you don't win it, James, you go down to McDonald's, buy one for $1.
By the way, what about this? You talk about Brownlow leaks. Dale Kickett has had $1,000 put on him at 100 to 1 to win $100,000. Dale Kickett. What about that?
Well, I reckon there's been more money on top of that, and he's now hundreds into tens.
Tens, yes. Well, he's gone, actually, that is his odds at the moment, into 10 to 1, Dale Kickett. And I'll put my $200 on W. Carey at 16 to 1. Pretty good odds, I reckon, for the Superman of the competition. Speaking of super things, let's go across now for Super Kick.
Super Kick. And here it is, the second semi-final of Super Kick, and there is Richard Osborne. That was Richard Osborne, and there is the giant killer of the competition, Dean Irving. As we see, Osborne wins the toss, and his first one's a bit of a mongrel, and they're kicking into a bit of a stiff breeze today. Aussie doesn't look too happy with that.
58.9
As we see the Journeys himself, Dougie Hawkins, with Adrian Barrich there, as Dean Irving comes in with the first kick and looks to be in excess of the 70 metres. That's a good start for Dean Irving. Of course, the winner to take on Benny Graham next week.
72 metres, good kick, Dean.
72 metres to take on Benny Graham next week, live at the grand final edition of the Footy Show. And I don't think that'll get the job done for Aussie either.
57.3 metres. Aussie,
Well,
57.3.
Aussie's been consistent, but not in the right way, as we see Big Dean come in for kick number 2. And not too bad off the boot, and that also seems to be over 70 metres. Not bad form into the breeze there from Big Dean.
71.4 metres.
71.4. So here's Aussie, final chance
71.4, Dean, well done.
to go into the grand final and have the crack at the big 10 grand. As we see the kick from Aussie there, better than the previous ones, but I think Dean Irving has it wrapped up.
66.1 metres, Aussie. not good enough.
Okay, and John Irving still has a crack at the $2,000 with a kick of in excess of 81.4 metres, but I don't think that'll be it either. But never mind, Dean Irving will go into the grand final next week live versus Benny Graham.
Yes, indeed. Next week, Dean Irving versus Ben Graham. They'll be kicking the footies across the Yarra with $10,000 up for grabs if they can, in fact, get it from one side of the Yarra to the other. Of course, next week, the special time of the footy show, 9 till 11 o'clock. 9 till 11 o'clock for the grand final edition of the footy show live from Melbourne Park. It should be an absolute beauty. We're going to be back with the North Melbourne team coming up against the Brisbane Bears, and also dueling street talk, Sam versus Doug.
Okay, you injured folks, we're sending you down to Sydney to spend a couple of days in a hyperbaric chamber.
Yeah, John,
yeah,
no worries,
Coach.
No problem, mate.
It's
Okay,
fun,
John,
Coach.
yeah, sure.
Hey, this ain't too bad. I can feel myself coming good. Jesus. Hey, turn this off. Jeez, it's getting hot in here or what? Someone give me a towel.
Yes, the Brisbane Bears boys have been in the hyperbaric chamber, and no doubt the pressure will be applied by North Melbourne as they go into the preliminary final on Saturday at the MCG. There is the footy record with the man himself, King Carey on the front. Third time lucky for the Roos, of course, the last 2 years in the preliminary final. Trev punches the air over there. He's pumped up as much as you like. Let's get into it now and have a look at the teams for the preliminary final. Of course, the winner going through to the grand final. Let's have a look at North Melbourne first, and bad luck there for Stewie Anderson, whose hamstring hasn't quite come up yet, and, well, it's pretty much a 21-day injury, a hamstring. It doesn't matter who you are, if you're Superman or not. If you've got a hammy, you're out for 3 weeks. Armstrong comes back into the side. So the backs, King, Martin, Blakey, Laidley, Fairley and Schwass. The centres of Simpson, Stevens and Crocker. The half-forwards, Archer, Carey and Allison. Pretty good line, that one. The forwards of Bell, Scholl and Capuano. The rucks, McKernan, Scott and Rock. The interchange, Roberts, Freeborn and Armstrong, the new player coming into the side. Of course, North Melbourne fixed up Geelong by 10 goals at the MCG a fortnight ago. Finished second on the ladder. Allison kicked 7 and Carey 3 on that occasion. McKernan, Carey and Allison amongst the best players, with McKernan having 20 kicks, 11 marks, 3 handballs and 13 hit-outs, and a pretty fantastic display there. Allison had a knee injury, Rock a back injury, but they've both come up. Let's now have a look at the Brisbane Bears, and, well, the Chamber's done the right thing for Clark and Voss, because they have been picked for the side. Chapman comes in for Ackermanis, who, of course, will be out for the season with that hamstring injury. So let's have a look at the Brisbane Bears. They've never got this far in their life. Scott, Champion and Dick Voss. The halfbacks, Chapman, Kennedy and Gowers. McRae, Fletcher and Lappin. The half-forwards, Voss has been picked on the half-forward flank. Scott and White. The forwards of Lepich, Lynch and Hart. Clark, Lambert and Ashcroft. Clark looked pretty good during the week despite that ankle injury. Mickey McLean, the Aboriginal player who's played the most games of VFL, AFL football. Merritt and Lynch is the bench there, and of course they absolutely poleaxed the reigning premiers Carlton by 97 points at the Gabba, with Lynch kicking 7, McRae 5 and White 3, and they were in absolute tip-top condition. Brisbane have won both games this year against North Melbourne by 18 points at Optus Oval in round 19, and in round 4 at the Gabba they got home by 30 points. Boys, who's going to win this game? Billy?
Oh, it's going to be a beauty, Ed. North are going to be very toey. They've been bundled out of the final series in the last 2 years in preliminary finals. Well done to Craig Scholl in his 150th. Brisbane, they're just going along nicely. Voss is going to be a concern for him. I don't know if he'll actually take the field. It's unbelievable they're playing their first game at the MCG this year. But Dion Scott is a mystery man. His form's been sensational, really. So I think they'll have a big crack at it, but I really think North Melbourne will win.
Now, James, the Brisbane Bears, as Billy said, they haven't played since they lost to Carlton in the finals last year. In fact, they have lost their last 17 matches at the MCG, their last win being in round 20, 1988.
Well, it is a hoodoo for them, Ed, and I think that could cause a problem, but I think that the big battle between Matthew Clark and Corey McKernan will be a huge battle. But I think even though McKernan has been so good this year, Brisbane will get it out of the middle, and that will cause great problems for North Melbourne, who love it into their forward line quickly with Carey, but I think North Melbourne will just get up and win.
So you reckon you'll play North Melbourne in the grand final? Jason, do you reckon it'll get through?
Very confident about North Melbourne, Ed. I think Brisbane are carrying a few injuries. North Melbourne obviously didn't take that chance with Anderson, and I think they're a hell of a lot more flexible, particularly up forward, with their goal-scoring options.
Barry Cable, can another North Melbourne side get through to a grand final? Their last, of course, 1978.
Yeah, I think so. I really believe that it's a great opportunity for them. The last 2 years they've been beaten. And I think it's a great opportunity for fellas like Carey and McKernan, who've really been starring for them, to really just go up an extra notch along with the other players, and I think really to prove that, you know, they can get to the grand final.
Sam, are you going to predict an all-interstate grand final? You reckon the Swans will be there? Can Brisbane make it?
No, I like the thoughts of Jim, though. I must say that if John Northey has a contingency plan for Matthew Clark to do something on Corey McKernan, this will be a very close game. They played terrific football, the Brisbane Bears, down in Melbourne this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears would win, but I'm tipping North Melbourne, but don't be surprised. They're a very good side, the Bears.
Sam Newman tipping then a Sydney-North Melbourne grand final. I think it'll be Essendon versus North Melbourne. We'll be back after this. There's only one break to go. Leave the kids set up because we've got a ripper. It is Street Talk. Doug versus Sam right after this.
Oh, I haven't got bad legs.
Yes, look at him.
Last week I was told I was ordinary on Street Talk by a man who, by any stretch of the imagination, is an ordinary conveyance himself. Doug, this is preliminary final day.
What's preliminary final, Sam?
We're going out to a venue to have a street talk-off. Now, I'm going to give you a chance to pick the venue. Call.
Heads, I'll call heads, Sam.
OK, heads it is.
I want to go to the Footscray Mall.
It's a mall, all right? There's the first area you've made. Looks like I'm kicking into the wind first up, eh? Speech is very... I heard that.
You guys are doing fine.
Been out in a big wind.
Yeah,
Absolutely swept it austere off the top of the old crane.
Yeah, but I hit the end of the bed every night, you see.
Hit the end of the bed every night, do you?
Yeah.
What, are you sleeping in a cot, are you?
Yeah.
What did you go to merge? You know that? No, I did not merge. So hold on, stay there. Because Hawk can stay there, right? Because we hold on for it, and we're not merged. Hold on, stay where we are. Because my Hawks, we're here forever.
Been upstaged by two cretins.
He's a bit of a goosey.
Yeah, he's a nice man. He's a little bit sometimes he's a little bit arrogant when he talks. But you don't. You talk very nice.
Can I ask you a very personal question? Are you a man or a woman?
A man. Do you watch the football show? A thing called the Footy Show?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yes.
Who do you like on the Footy Show? Who do you like?
No, I don't know myself enough.
You like Wolfgang Mackenbowling?
Why, yes.
Wolfgang's very good, isn't he?
You sure you're a man?
Yeah, of course I do. Who do you think may win the Little League Grand Final?
I don't really follow that Little League.
What was that?
He didn't follow. I can understand that. He doesn't follow it. So go on now. Come in with another blockbuster.
What do you think about the AFL Grand Final? Who's going to win that?
I don't really follow.
Oh, they're easy questions. Get into him about his complexion and his lack of tone and his speech and his where he comes from.
Come back here.
Bulgaria.
1955, 21, December.
With drugs to come out, did you?
Very bad there. He can't speak. He can't comply. He can't go nowhere. He can't do what you like it.
Is that an important call?
Raylene, guess what?
What do you think of Sam Newman on the Footy Show? Do you reckon he may need a bit of a spell on the old street talk?
He's a bit of a dickhead.
Plugger's groin. Ask her about it.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah? Hang on.
Plugger's groin. Ask her.
What did you say, what?
Plugger's groin.
Plugger's groin, do you know?
It's not the name of someone, it's the part of his anatomy that's giving him trouble. What a charming-looking woman. How are you, madam?
Pissed off. I've been speaking to Dougie.
Like I said, what a terribly affable type of a person. I think it was a person. And where have we just stolen this from?
From Footscray Market.
Does the owner know that it's missing yet, or do you think we've got a bit far away for her to find out?
No, it's too far now.
Now you know where they sell sardines cheap. Now, how many do you think we can get into the car in any one given day?
Stop in the boot.
Sir, what line of business are you in, sir?
Drugs.
You idiot! Just over the double lines too, straight through the red light, and of course that's par for the course out here. So, and the horn went too. That's the third one that's gone in the car, I think.
Good idea, buddy. Did I watch a footy show, madam? Watch a football show? They're hard to get to, the people wear those hoods. They're hard to get to.
Well, boys, how did you see the street talk off?
I reckon, Sam, you're in a bit of trouble because if the biggest idiot is the best person at that, then Dougie's got you by a mile, I think.
I was up against it. A truckload of gibbons on the way to the zoo just broke loose, and Doug snared most of them just in his particular tour.
I think it was a dead heat. They're both disgraceful.
Why don't you get out and do it, Chubby?
Your street demeanour is you are rude and arrogant. No wonder people don't want to talk to you.
You would be perfect for it. Why don't you get out and have a shot at it?
What about the way you opened up? You said you were told you were ordinary last week. In the last ad break, you spent 10 minutes telling Billy how ordinary he was and how he should be training hard. What about that lash he's given you?
You were ordinary then, Sam.
What did he say to you, Bill?
He said, I've got to improve my left foot kicking.
I didn't. I said what I said was... Well, I'm happy to go on with this, but what I said...
Forget about your kids, go to the gym, didn't he?
Yeah.
I said you're slack, is what I said. You've been there for 10 years, you've got puppy fat on you. Why don't you spend 3 months of your life doing something for yourself?
Well,
and when you're 40, you look back and say, gee, I had a go and I actually prevailed.
Well, it must mean so much coming from him.
That's what I said.
True Geelong champion that you are.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it does. I will be there, Sam, for training.
I wouldn't have brought it up publicly, but Jason brought it up. I said that off air.
From him. You don't
No,
have
Sam's a legend of the club, mate.
Oh,
300-game
shut
player.
He's a wanker.
He's loved down there.
Good on you. All right, boys, we'll leave it at that. Next week, of course, the grand final edition of the Footy Show from Melbourne Park. Don't forget you can get tickets for the impaired seeing seats, if you like, whatever they are. Don't forget, if you want to come down, if you can't get a ticket, Superkickers by the hour. Good luck to James Hurd, our panellist tonight.
Jimmy,
Not only
you
for
beauty.
the game on Saturday. Thank you very much to our Super Box tonight, the fantastic Aboriginal players. Thanks very much, fellas, for coming in tonight. And don't forget the VFL Grand Final between Springvale and Frankston. That's Brad Gotch versus David Rhys-Jones. That should be a beauty. Grand Final week next week. Can't wait. See you then.
Presentation of Nine's Wide World of Sports.
One show to go, one show to go.
This program brought to you by your local Mitsubishi dealers and Foster's Lager, proud sponsors of the Australian Olympic team.